Hello everyone and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna Avant died one terrible night in the quiet, echoing halls of the maximum security women's jail on the outskirts of Los Angeles, where the air was heavy with the aroma of sorrow and bleach. The official report eventually said it was a sudden heart failure. A devastating conclusion for the young woman convicted of acts she denied doing. But whispers among the convicts presented a harsher picture. Poison was placed into her nightly meal by an unseen hand, a silent assassin in a place where trust was the most valuable asset. Luna, the once vibrant daughter of the soap opera world's most troubled family, had been ripped from the glittering facade of the Bold and the Beautiful's privileged circles and dumped into this concrete nightmare. Her death was more than simply a headline. It was the result of years of treachery, woven into the fabric of secrets, lies, and forbidden loves that marked her ancestry. Luna's narrative began not in chains, but in the luxurious homes of Beverly Hills, where the Logans and Forresters fought like thunderheads over empires built on fashion and riches. Luna was born to Papi Nozawa, a free-spirited artist embroiled in scandals that could fill tabloid pages. She inherited mischievous eyes and a heart burdened with mystery. Luna's mother had always been a shadow figure, darting in and out of her life like a ghost, leaving only shards of reality about her father, Lee Finnegan, the austere doctor whose denial of fatherhood had devastated Luna's world. However, it was Bill Spencer, the media billionaire with a penchant for conquests, who eventually claimed her as his own after a flurry of DNA testing and heated arguments. Bill, with his yacht parties and merciless ambition, viewed Luna as a chance for redemption, or perhaps just another pawn in his game against the Forresters. Life in the Spencer penthouse was a golden prison. Luna negotiated the perilous waters of high society, falling hopelessly in love with R.J. Forrester, Ridge and Brooke Logan's creative son. Their passion was the stuff of daytime dreams, with clandestine kisses under chandelier lights and promises whispered among the rustling of beautiful gowns. R.J., with his compassionate soul and everlasting commitment, believed in Luna's innocence when the allegations initially appeared. She had been accused of murdering Hollis, a low-level employee at Bill's company, after a planted vial of poison was discovered in her apartment. The court saw the evidence as irrefutable, fingerprints and surveillance film that had been doctored just enough to seal her fate. But Luna knew the truth. RJ's envious cousin Zen Forrester, who was driven insane by unrequited love and professional competition, had organized everything. Zen's bitterness festered like an open wound, his plans eclipsed by RJ's burgeoning star, and Luna became the target for his outrage. The trial was a media circus, carried live on Spencer Publications networks, with Bill manipulating strings to expose the Forrester corruption while secretly doubting his daughter's testimony. Papi, the enigmatic mother, vanished during the hearings, believed to be hiding at an ashram in Bali, leaving Luna to face the judge alone. Luna was sentenced to life without parole and sent to Ironwood State Prison, a stronghold of forgotten souls where the sun barely penetrated the razor wire barriers. Her entrance sparked interest. The other convicts, hardened by years of survival, considered her as easy prey, a famous princess unaccustomed to the grind. But Luna adapted, her spirit unbroken, and formed strange alliances. There was Maria, the lifer convicted of murdering her violent husband, who taught Luna to braid her hair into armor-like plaits and tell stories under the cover of darkness. Tanya, a sharp-tongued forger with tattoos detailing her escapes, sneaked in illegal publications to keep Luna's mind active. Luna's beauty was damaged as if by acid rain throughout her prison stay. The days became monotonous. Reveille at dawn, slop for breakfast, hours in the yard staring at the barren sky, daydreaming of RJ's face. He sent letters infrequently, packed with pleads and everlasting love, but the system was rigged. Bill's power dwindled as his enterprise crumbled under litigation from the Forresters, and Ridge's legal team buried every plea in paperwork. Luna's evenings were plagued by memories of her mother's warnings. Papi had once spoken over tea about a family curse, poisons passed down through the Nozawa clans, metaphors for the toxic relationships that would destroy them all. Luna had no idea that the curse was taking physical form. The poisoning started subtly. A stomach pain following a mess hall dinner was disregarded as lousy chili. Then there was dizziness in the yard, which was blamed on the heat. Inmates were suspicious. Jail poisonings were rare but legendary, frequently linked to gang conflicts or deaths. Luna confided in Maria, who suspected Sheila Carter, the dreaded criminal who repeatedly entered the Forrester Society. Sheila, free on parole after yet another reformed spell, had vanished from public view, but her vendetta against the Logans raged on. Was it Sheila, slipping past guards with insider support, motivated by a warped maternal desire for Luna, whom she regarded as a threat to her own chaotic legacy? Or did Zend, a rising designer at Forrester Creations, use his wealth to bribe a corrupt guard? As Luna deteriorated, her mind repeated the events of her life like a shattered kaleidoscope. She recalled her first meeting with RJ at a gala, his hand warm in hers as they danced to strings that seemed to play exclusively for them. The way he'd draw her portrait in secret, capturing the fire in her eyes that prison couldn't put out. Their love had been pure, a beacon in the midst of deception, but doubt crept in while she was isolated. Has RJ abandoned her? Letters stopped arriving, replaced by a silence that screamed betrayal. Luna hallucinated visits from her mother, Poppy, who appeared in the cell in flowing robes smelling of jasmine and urged her to fight. The poison isn't just in your veins, child, Poppy said softly. It's in the lies they fed you from birth. The night she died, Luna was alone in the infirmary, with monitors beeping faintly. A dark figure, guard or ghost, had tampered with her injecting a fatal combination of ricin made from castor beans that was undetectable in initial tests. She gasped, gripping the bedsheet, her final words a plea to RJ. Find the truth, for us. By morning, the warden had pronounced it natural causes, but Maria had overheard the coroner's quiet concerns. The story leaked to the press, causing a firestorm. Bill Spencer, devastated and outraged, started a private inquiry, revealing Zen's payments to a guard called Rico, a man with a gambling debt and a vendetta. Sheila's fingerprints were not found on the syringe, but her alibi disintegrated when she was discovered near the prison gates disguised as a visitor. RJ, devastated, severed contact with his family and vowed to expose the rot. He faced Zend in a rain-soaked Forrester boardroom, sending punches flying as years of cousin hatred erupted. You killed her for what? A design credit, RJ yelled as Zend sneered. She was in the way, always the victim. The truth came out. Zend had not acted alone. When Poppy returned from banishment, she admitted to her role, not in the poisoning, but in planting the original evidence against Luna to preserve her own secrets regarding Bill's affairs. The Nozawa ladies, afflicted by ambition, had poisoned their own bloodline via deception. Following the incident, the prison became a symbol of injustice, with protests boiling outside its walls. Bill purchased the story rights, transforming Luna's grief into a confession that ended Zen's career and landed him in prison. RJ, hollow-eyed, established a charity in Luna's name to advocate for wrongful convictions. But the grief stayed a distinct pain for a love gone to the shadows. Some claimed that Luna's soul haunted the mansion grounds, her laughter ringing on moonlit nights, a reminder that in a world of beauty and bold lies, the deepest wounds are invisible. Few soap opera characters have sparked as much fascination and debate as the bold and the beautiful Luna Nozawa. Her transformation from a misunderstood figure to a prominent antagonist has captivated spectators, resulting in a series of events that have left fans stunned and perplexed about her true fate. Luna's journey began when she was arrested for the kidnapping and attempted murder of Steffi Forrester. Despite the gravity of her offenses, there was a chance she would be granted bail, especially given her pregnancy and the legal complications surrounding her case. However, the story took a darker turn when Luna was allegedly poisoned in prison, resulting in her supposed death. This event sent shockwaves through the Forrester family and the show's audience. The circumstances of Luna's death were shrouded in mystery. While some claimed that she had been poisoned, others thought her death was an unfortunate accident. The absence of definite information sparked different ideas, with both fans and characters concerned about Luna's fate. Luna's aunt, Lee Finnegan, became involved, complicating the matter even more. Lee, who had a reputation for making aggressive moves to protect her family, was accused of being implicated in Luna's killing. Some fans speculated that Lee planned Luna's death to avoid further disruption, while others believed she was attempting to protect Luna from the consequences of her actions. The uncertainty of Lee's role caused viewers to question her genuine objectives. Following Luna's supposed death, The Forrester family was left to pick up the pieces. Steffi, who had been the subject of Luna's rage, wrestled with feelings of shame and confusion. Bill Spencer, Luna's former supporter, found himself split between his feelings for her and the reality of her actions. The entire family was left to negotiate the complicated web of ties and emotions that Luna's life and death had created for them. As the story progressed, it became evident that Luna's influence had left a lasting impression on those around her. Her actions, whether motivated by love, retribution, or a yearning for approval, had far-reaching consequences for the Forrester family and others. Her death, whether real or contrived, sparked introspection and change among the characters. Finally, Luna's narrative serves as a painful reminder of the complexities of human nature and the implications of our choices. Her path, which includes romance, betrayal, and redemption, reflects the complex fabric of relationships and emotions that comprise the human experience. Whether she is genuinely gone or simply hidden away, Luna's legacy continues to influence the lives of those she touched, leaving an indelible mark on the world of the bold and the beautiful. She thought about her family frequently, distant, fragmented, but never far from her heart. Her Aunt Lee had always been a figure in her life, part protector, part enigma, with intentions that were never quite clear. Did Lee truly care about her, or was it a bizarre, almost clinical sense of duty that drove her actions? Luna could not tell anymore. The ambiguity gnawed at her, keeping her awake and uncomfortable. She wished for clarity, for someone to tell her the truth directly, but the walls around her were as opaque as the questions in her thoughts. Memories arrived unbidden. The warmth of her mother's smile, the aroma of her father's perfume, and the faint laughter shared with people she could no longer trust, all seemed like remnants of another life. Each recollection was both comforting and painful, piercing her loneliness. She remembered the night of the kidnapping, the desperation, the hazy mix of rage and fear that had led her down a path she couldn't turn back from. The weight of guilt weighed heavily against her chest. Luna had thought she could control her fate, bend it to her way, but life appeared to have other intentions. In the calm isolation of her cage, the first signs of the poison emerged. At first it was subtle, a persistent nausea and dizziness that she couldn't understand. She attempted to dismiss it, blaming it on nervousness, a lack of sleep, or inadequate prison cuisine. However, the symptoms became increasingly insistent, each one a stark warning that something was wrong. Her body, once dependable and robust, had become a battleground. Her fingers lost strength, and her vision became blurry, leaving her disoriented and scared. She knew something was happening, but no one appeared to notice or care. The brutality of obscurity was perhaps the most difficult element. As time passed, her mind became a maze. She repeated talks, studied features, and looked for motives when there might not be any. Could it have been a guard? A fellow inmate? Or, more disturbingly, someone who loved her? Paranoia became a frequent companion. She felt betrayed by the world while also feeling strongly linked to it through her anguish. Pain, she learned, could be a type of communion, a bridge to the living, a language in which sadness and desperation were more powerful than words. Luna sat in her cell and began writing. She composed letters she would never mail, addressed to long-gone faces, and filled pages with confessions she couldn't say out loud. Writing became her refuge, a frail thread to hold onto as her body withered. She wrote about unfulfilled goals, lost loves, and blunders that had led to far-reaching consequences. Each syllable was a heartbeat, each sentence a lifeline. She hoped, perhaps foolishly, that if someone discovered her writings, they would grasp who she was before the world declared her guilty. One afternoon, she felt a strange sensation creep throughout her body. It wasn't the warmth of life, but a misleading, seductive haze that blurred the lines of reality. She slumped on the cot, her mind wandering into a liminal realm where the past and present blended. Faces from her childhood emerged, laughing in the sunlight of another era. She reached out and they grinned back, untouchable yet soothing. In that moment, she allowed herself to believe in the impossible, that all would end in peace rather than despair. Outside her confinement, life went on indifferently. The guards went about their business, conversations in the common areas sounded like faraway music, and the world outside the prison walls went on as if Luna's agony didn't exist. Yet, somewhere in the layers of human complexity, traces of her existence persisted. Those who knew her, Friends, adversaries, and family were left to deal with her absence. The people she had touched in both light and shade now faced their own reckonings, dealing with loss, remorse, and the persistent question of what they could have done differently. Her Aunt Lee experienced the first tremors of loss with a faint, nearly unnoticeable shock. She had always assumed she could control events, guide them slightly from the shadows, but the reality of death, particularly Luna's, was too much. Her hands shook as she reflected on every memory, discussion, and decision that had led to this point. Lee had acted out of love and fear, but now she faced the awful reality that her interventions could not change the past. She felt the moral weight of duty on her shoulders, yet confession or confrontation provided no consolation. There were just questions hovering like smoke in a room with no windows. Steffi, the person Luna had harmed the most, became engulfed in a maelstrom of complex emotions. Relief and loss twisted together, leaving her unsure of how to grieve. Luna's fury was exacerbated by empathy. Her vulnerability had become brutally obvious in her final days. Steffi focused on the fine line between victim and perpetrator, recognizing in Luna a humanity that could not be erased, no matter how much pain she had done. The pain was raw, with a keen edge that lasted in the heart, even after the tears had dried. Bill Spencer, a guy who had once been sympathetic to Luna, was dealing with his own inner conflict. He remembered her at moments of hope and ambition, glimpses of an unrealized future. Her death forced him to confront the complexities of forgiveness, the weight of judgment, and the awful reality that intentions do not always redeem acts. In quiet moments, he was troubled by the thought that he might have been able to intervene, to prevent the poisoning, to rewrite a tragically written story. However, even in death or apparent death, Luna's narrative did not stop. It lingered in the gaps between people, in unspoken words, and in moments that could never be regained. The prison, which had earlier appeared to be a cage, became a symbol of her existence, a place where misery and strength intertwined. In her absence, the echoes of her life demanded attention, a reminder that every action, every decision has far-reaching implications. The story of Luna's life became mythic among those who knew her well over time. Her presence, blunders, vulnerability, and suffering became a cautionary tale, a meditation on the frailty of human life. Her experience informed discussions about justice, forgiveness, and the nature of evil. Each recounting revealed new nuances, new interpretations, and the inescapable question of what could have been. The tragedy was not just that she had died, but that she had lived in such a way that the implications of her actions were both intimate and broad. Even in her final hours, Luna's thoughts turned to optimism, which was frail and transient. She imagined reconciliation, moments of intimacy that would never materialize. She imagined a world in which mistakes could be reversed, understanding substituted judgment, and love in its most vulnerable form may have been enough to protect her. Perhaps there was a sense of transcendence in that imagining, an awareness that even in the midst of agony, humans have the capacity for thought, sorrow, and longing. When the world finally recognized her absence, it was met with astonishment, grief, and a deep sense of unfairness. Her narrative was scrutinized, researched, and lamented, with everyone trying to figure out what it meant to lose someone as complicated as she was. Her existence could not be contained within the prison walls. It extended forth, influencing lives in subtle and stark ways. The tragedy was comprehensive, encompassing not only the inevitability of death, but also the long-term implications of decisions taken in fear, desperation, and desire. Luna's life, despite being cut short, remained a poignant tribute to the human condition. A reminder that vulnerability and ambition, love and hatred, hope and misery are intimately linked. Her trip through the darkness revealed the intricacies of morality, the fragility of life, and the long-lasting impact one person may have on the tapestry of human relationships. Those who remained carried shards of her memories, their lives forever altered, and their awareness of compassion, forgiveness, and grief sharpened by the stark reality of her loss. In the end, Luna's sorrow was not just that she died, but that she lived in a world incapable of truly accepting the entirety of her life. She was a mirror, reflecting the paradoxes and vulnerabilities of those around her, a spark that revealed both human fragility and resilience. Her narrative, despite its misery, was a profound reflection on life, choice, and the painful beauty of being unmistakably human.